One day a young boy asked his father, what is the value of his life? Instead of answering, the father told his son to take this rock and go sell it at a market. If anybody asks the price, raise 2 fingers and don't say anything. The boy then went to the market, and a woman asked, how much is this rock? I want to put it in my garden. The boy didn't say anything and raised up 2 fingers. And the woman said, $2? I'll take it. And the boy went home and told his father, a woman wants to buy this rock for $2. The father then said, son, I want you to take this rock to a museum. If anybody wants to buy it, don't say a word and just put up 2 fingers. The boy then went to the museum, and a man wanted to buy the rock. The boy didn't say a word and put up 2 fingers. And the man said, $200? I'll take it. The boy was shocked and went running home. Father, a man wants to buy this rock for $200. His father then said, son, the last place I want you to take this rock is to a precious stone store. Show it to the owner and don't say a word. And if he asks the price, just put up 2 fingers. The son then went to a precious stone store. He showed the rock to the owner. Where did you find this stone? It is one of the most rarest stones in the world. I must have it. How much would you sell it for? The boy put up 2 fingers, and the man said, I'll take it for $200,000. The boy, not knowing what to say, ran home to his father. Father, there's a man that wants to buy the rock for $200,000. His father then said, son, do you know the value of your life now? You see, it doesn't matter where you come from, where you were born, the color of your skin, or how much money you were born into. It matters where you decide to place yourself, the people you surround yourself with, and how you choose to carry yourself. You may have lived your whole life thinking that you were a $2 stone. You may have lived your whole life surrounded by people that saw your worth only for $2. But everybody has a diamond inside of them. And we can choose to surround ourselves with people that see our value and see the diamond inside of us. We can choose to put ourselves in a market or put ourselves in a precious stone store. And you can also choose to see the value in other people. You can help other people see the diamond inside of them. Choose the people you surround yourself with wisely. That can make all the difference in your life.
Hello, myself Ashish. So today our topic is how to get most out of study. So as you see in the video, how the father explains his child about his life very well. So if the boy went to his father and asked, what is value of my life? And father just said, you are a farmer and you can't do this and you can't do that. So will the boy able to do well in his career or his life? No. So his father gave him a stone and said him, sell it. And step by step you see the price of the stone increases and the boy gets the value of his life. So he decides to keep himself in a shop or a store of gems. So we will talk about how to get most out of the study. So it has 5 points. First point is beliefs that make you fail or success. Second is what students should understand about how people learn. Third is cognitive principle for optimizing learning. Fourth is putting principle for optimizing learning into practical. And third is I blew the exams, now what? So we will see these topics one by one. First of all, beliefs that make you fail or success. So some of you think learning is fast. Some students say, I read 8 chapters, I read 10 chapters. But what they understand from that chapters? Learning is when you read just 1 chapter but you learn it very properly. You remember each and every important words from the chapter and not only just reading. So knowledge is composed of isolated facts. The facts which we see, which are more highlighted in the textbooks or any study material, the sentences or some words which are most highlighted, the students think that if we read the words we will know everything, so they don't read the material inside the book, just read the highlighted points. That's not good. That can cause failure of of that student in exam. So he should learn everything, and most probable way is discussion with the friends. If you discuss with your friends, it is most probable that you get what you have the doubts and what mistake you were making while studying. Sometimes you see a student is very talented in one subject, but it is not an inborn talent. It is his hard work and his learning on that subject. So sometimes we think that we will be not able to perform well in this subject, we don't know this subject. Most probably we think this about physics or maths, but it is not like that. If you focus perfectly on the concepts, we can easily study physics and maths. So sometimes thinking this is not good, but if you study that, you will be good. And one more point, metacognition. And what is metacognition? So metacognition is a virtual for students to thrive in college, in their career, and in lifelong learning. How the metacognition cycle works? First, when you are given with a task, you give the task, then you see what were your weaknesses, what were your strengths. So you check the paper, check the task, and you check your strength and weakness, and then you plan to do better in next task. So you put a strategy and you show that strategy while studying. You learn more, focus more on that topic, and then you reflect on the task, and the same way every time you do it. So this is called metacognition cycle. This improves the skill of student in studying and focusing on the topic.
Myself Geeta. Now I will tell you about level of processing. As we know, there are two levels of processing, shallow and deep. Shallow is harmful and deep is good and effective. Now I will tell you how. Shallow processing focus on meaningless aspects of information like memorizing definitions or mindless reading. So we can say that if a student learn only definition, it will be not helpful for him, as he will not have other knowledge, and also he will not pass in exam because he is only learning or reading the definitions. Due to reading, he is not understanding what he is reading, so he will forget it very soon. Thus, shallow processing is harmful for a student. Now I will tell you about deep processing, how it is useful in a student life. So, deep processing focuses on subjective meaning like making information personally meaningful. So, it is a good processing as students make their own notes or study in the way that they could understand in better way, which they will remind for long time and can also get good marks in their exam. Deep processing is good and effective way for studying for a student. Now I will tell you about orienting task. It causes you to think in deep or shallow ways, regardless of your own intentions. It makes people process information at a certain depth by causing them to think about the topic and thus understand it better. Most important factor for successful learning is that what a student think about a topic while studying. So a student should think about the topic which he is studying while reading. So now you have understood that how deep processing is helpful and effective for a student. Now I will tell you about my next topic, cognitive principles for optimizing learning. As I have told you about deep processing, now we will see more information about it. Deep processing is a key to effective study. Principles for deep processing. There are four main principles: elaboration, distinctiveness, retrieval, and personal. Elaboration is making meaningful associations between concept we study and concept we know. Thus, more meaningful association a student make, better he is learn. Distinctiveness means a student make a clear concept between the concept they are studying and the other concept. For good understanding a particular topic, then Instead of reading the text again and again, memorize it and write down it or even explain to someone so that you can understand better. Now I will tell you about automaticity, a process so highly practiced that it occurs without any conscious efforts. As we know, if we are riding a route that we know very well, then we will drive to the destination by not applying special efforts because we know the route. Now I will give you second example. So as a student, if we learn a topic or a chapter thoroughly and again, then we will not forget it. So later when teacher asks question on that topic, then we will not think and give the correct answer. So this is automaticity. Now I will tell you about overlearning. It is continuing to study beyond just knowing information to where it can be recalled quickly and easily. In other words, it means don't study a material until it is recalled, but study again and again so that it will not forget. Now I will tell you an example. In a maths class, there are two types of students. Some students know maths very well that they can give answer to a problem quickly, but some other students they does not understand math. This is because the students who does not understand do not repeat the formulas again and again, but the other students who knows very well they repeat it. It is due to overlearning, so they can answer to any problem quickly and easily.
Hello everyone, my name is Snehashish Karmakar and I would like to speak on the topic of putting the principles for learning into practice. Here is a popular saying by Kavi Shankara. Kavi Shankara in Indian language means a poet Shankara. In his words, he has very wisely said that a wise man knows that he knows nothing about everything. A fool thinks he knows everything about everything. A clever man knows something about everything. A cunning man fools everyone in everything. A vicious man ruins everyone and everything. A stupid man knows nothing about nothing. Now, these statements are somewhat true in their own accord. A wise man who knows a lot of information, a wise man who is wise because of the contents of wisdom that he has experienced or gained over his past life, that is why makes him special. But again, then if he knows so much about this working and the processes of the world, then he must be able to succeed and go ahead in this world. Otherwise he knows nothing. That's how the above statement is justified. But on the other hand, if a person is well known for his wisdom and knowledge, then he would choose the easiest way of life, and the easiest way of life is to lead a life which is full of happiness rather than wealth, property, bank balance and other things. That's how he knows everything and nothing simultaneously. And a wise man always tends to gain knowledge and information throughout his life. No matter how much he earns in terms of his wisdom, he always feels empty and something lacking. That's what keeps him going. Now, on the other hand, a fool thinks he knows everything about everything. There is a well-known saying that empty vessels sounds much. When in childhood we have seen the kids who start to learn poems and rhymes, they train at the basic level, but because of the praises and applaud received by the elders, they begin to think that they have learned too much, and sometimes it leads to their failure in later age. It doesn't mean that they are fool, but it might lead to foolishness in later life. And we also come across, being from one of the Asian countries, I have always come across the villagers who are simple-minded and easygoing simpleton people. They often fall into arguments because whenever they see something from their perspective, they go into deep arguments, which leads to arguments upon arguments. but not coming to certain conclusion. And it is because the fools or uneducated or underqualified people, they think that they know everything or they have thorough understanding about a place just because they have been staying or living for at that place for time from ever since from their birth. And it gives them the feeling of superiority for that place, and they think that whatever arguments arise in their own hometown, they are able to succeed and survive all the arguments or quarrels based on their mental setup, which is quite not always true. Another statement says a clever man knows something about everything. It's true. A clever man will always know something about everything, although he might not know the entire topic himself, but he would make witty comments and arguments so as to make believe the listeners that he has some understanding for that particular topic. It might not always be true, and it quite often happens that it is not always true, but they give them the shallow feeling that they are clever enough to make witty sentences at the moment, at the same juncture of time. Now, a cunning man is also a shrewd man, a man of practical abilities, a man of practical mental setup. He wants to succeed in life, and how is he going to do that? A cunning man always finds their way out. That might be shortcut at times, if necessary. It might be long cut, but they want to gain superior position in society, and they know everything, and they ruin everyone's life wherever they come across, because in order to go above others, they might pull others back down. And this kind of people we should be aware of, because they are vicious, they are poisonous, they are toxic in their behavior. And in the field of education, we quite often come across this kind of people, and it happens in professional rivalry which occurs among doctors, engineers, lawyers quite often. A stupid man knows nothing about anything, so they are simpleton. They're just simpleton. But sometimes it happens that an educated person also behaves in a stupid manner. Well, although they are stupid, but they're better than fools, so they can be taught and helped in their life. Now, why have I said so many things about this kind of people? It's all linked to education, directly or indirectly. Now, we have seen that there is a wise man, there is a foolish man, there is a clever man, there is a cunning man, there is a vicious man, and then there is a stupid man. Everyone has got their role in society, and everyone plays their part. But we must be educated enough to meet and come across this kind of people and overcome them or work along with them. What is education? Basically, education are the tools. Education are the weapons that we utilize throughout our entire life in order to succeed and excel in life. But is it worth always succeeding and excelling in life? Is the main motive of education is only to gain money and material wealth? Is it not the part of life that expect us to be happy rather than be rich? Is it not for us to gain mental peace and feel healthy mentally and spiritually rather than feeling the luxuries of life? Well, it depends on the listeners and on the people who want to dream about it. Well, my friends have spoken well about the methods of attaining deep learning and understanding, and how to behave in a manner or how to educate oneself so that a deep understanding and attaining of knowledge comes out to be of maximum output. Now, I would come to the strategies for achieving deep processing, and there are three parts in relation to this: question generation, map concept, and practice retrieving information in a way teacher expects. There are two subparts. Subpart A is practice recalling without referring to the notes, and Subpart B is practice using the information. Well, it's very simple, but before that I'd like to discuss few topics. Now, everybody has said among other groups and other literary works on this topic about learning and understanding, but there are a few things that are to be considered. The things that are to be considered are deep understanding about a topic. Question generation usually occurs with a thorough understanding and knowledge, and during the class, when the class is ongoing, a teacher explains various topics in his own rhythm, and a student who is facing those topics for the first time are expected to behave in a foolish manner. They would arise foolish questions. But on the other hand, a small majority of students who have well understanding about scientific terms or English terms, or rather language terms, and have thorough understanding about their previous standards educational background. They have got good understanding about almost everything up to the standard they have educated themselves. They would inquire the teacher questions of vital importance, and that's how that difference arise. Foolish questions and intelligent questions. Now, both are important in their manner, but an intelligent question gets originated from a person who has thorough understanding. In colleges, the students who have thorough understanding or background knowledge from their school earlier days, they will arise thorough understanding. They will show their thorough understanding to the teacher and arise intelligent questions. But a student who is not quite educated or who has given gaps during his educational time in the school, he might face problem. So it is quite important to have good understanding about these things. Another topic is concept map. Concept map can be drawn or made, or rather we can make mental maps, which only comes after a thorough reading of the text. When we have a thorough reading and thorough understanding, then we can prepare shortcuts or maps that would help us in making the entire gist of the chapter concerned or of the syllabus as well. And we can make those maps, and we can use notebooks, or we can make those maps on sheets of paper and attach on our walls in order to give us a proper understanding and a comprehensive knowledge that would help us to elaborate the points when necessary, but as well as also help us to remember the topics, because they are written in very short form, which is only available to us, and we can go and fetch them as our requirement every now and then. And the practice retrieving information in a way that teacher expects is practice without recalling, and then there is other practice using the information. Like, it intends to tell us that a student who has attended a class, he goes back to home and he just closes his eyes or sits in his study table and thinks about those topics or subjects that has been taught to him, and he tries to recall them, and he as well as writes them down if necessary without looking at his book. And the next thing he does is he goes through those topics again and again, and after recalling and revising, he tallies his work with the text itself and finds out the differences between his understanding and the actual understanding written by the author. And it also indicates the level of attention and concentration that he had paid during his class hours. It also tells him the memory retaining capacity that is present in the student. Well, these are the effective methods during educational processes and educational learning methods. My next topic is I blew the exam, now what? Well, blowing the exam is not that easy. It takes a lot of hard work and effort to blow an exam, but in a reverse direction. Or rather, in a simple word, doing all sorts of works apart from studying. A person who blows exam is not inactive or bedridden, or it's not like the person blew the exam is not a person with a sound mind. But it usually happens that some overconfident people, those who roam around the entire semester here and there enjoying their life, and at the end point of their life before the examination they pretend to study, which is not quite enough in some of the subjects, especially in science subjects. It leads to failure and depression sometimes. But there are things that helps us to check those points so that we achieve success but nothing and nothing less. There are few points that has to be undertaken, like do the exam how you prepared, be honest with yourself. Like we shouldn't overestimate that we are confident and we can do things overnight and we can score good marks. It has never happened, because usually if we appear for the paper and we write 100 marks question, we come down to get around 60 to 70% on an average. Only the best among ourselves get above 90, and the unique of amongst us secures 100 out of 100, which is quite not often seen. Second thing is do the review of the exam. Compare errors with notes. Now, always it is necessary whenever we appear or face class tests, we bring the question paper or we keep mental note of the questions given in the examination, and we come home and we check for the correct answers and the answers we have written ourselves. And this should be done before going to the exams as well. And it can be done with the questions that has been given in the previous year and so on. And we should talk to our problems individually with the professor. We should examine our study habits. We should have a healthy habit, because education is like worship. It's a worship that includes discipline, a discipline of the mind and body, a discipline of the daily routine and time and punctuality. Brain usually works, speaking scientifically, the body has got its own biological clock. It performs its best when we eat, sleep, drink, bath, exercise regularly at a proper fixed time, because the body get accustomed to the timing and it starts performing and preparing itself every day in a routine and scheduled manner. So we should stick to the time, and we should develop a plan. A plan is always necessary, and it's always the key to success for all the toppers and all the scholars among the world scholars. It's a universal fact that we should have a good planning. Helpful strategies to raise our guide. First is commit time and effort, which is already explained in the above topics. Minimize distraction. It means to say keep our cell phones switched off, television and computer laptops all switched off, and focus on one thing at a time. Because although we can multitask, but it is not necessary for us to multitask. I mean to say that if by multitasking we need to do a study for a particular lesson 10 times, and without multitasking we can do the study for the lesson at a single time, but it might so happen that we require a little bit more time with respect to multitasking, then we should go for a single phase learning. A depth understanding is necessary if we intend to study and keep the knowledge gained for a long time. And attend our classes. Regular attendance is necessary, because it is also intends to the punctuality and regularity of the brain, because classes are nothing but a method of training the human brain on a particular subject, on a particular field, in a particular profession. We should set our realistic goals. We shouldn't think before the examination that per day I will complete 10 chapters. It is not quite possible. We should have realistic goals. We should keep at least 2 to 3 chapters per day. 1 week before the final exams, and it is not for us. It is quite a fact that those who study less are the ones who are usually full of confidence, and the students who usually score the highest are under confusion, stress, and fear of performing poorly. Now, food for thought. Which is a better scenario? None of the above. One should study enough to be confident, but not to boast about it, but not to be stressed and be confused, and to be able to avoid hopelessness from our own performance. But such students are very rare species. After all, we all are human beings. We all have our own fallacies and weaknesses. But then to humanity is to overcome our weaknesses and being able to go and being hopes to our society. Practically, it is all in our mindset. We study to quench our thirst for knowledge, but not to show others how much we have studied and how much salary we earn in our later age. We learn to be confident to help ourselves, our family, our friends, and also our society. There is no easy way or shortcut. If there is even any shortcut, we may spend our entire life looking for it, but may not be successful. If we study enough so that we are prepared to face any situation in our life with confidence and positive attitude. All the history we have learned teach us many things. All the philosophy we studied taught us to love for wisdom and the truth, to raise questions and look for answers. All the science we learned is to test our theories, to go to look for proofs, and to have misconceptions and not to have misconceptions and myth, and to go beyond our understanding. With proper food, rest, studies, exercise, and hygiene practice, with time, anything may be achieved successfully. All we need to do is keep on going. What if we fail or lose hope? Well, according to Confucius, a Chinese philosopher, don't forget to breathe. It means to say that until and unless you are breathing, you are respiring, you are living. And when you are living, you are striving to live, and you are living to gain the very existence or fabrics of existence. And if you are existing, you need to focus onto something, and that focusing energy, that focusing power will come or may come with thorough understanding and educating yourself. Education is not just gaining degree, it's a lifelong process, and we should follow the process with a sound mind. Thank you.